Next, a controversy over the Chinese online retailer Shein. It's deepening this Wednesday. The shock over the sale of childlike sex dolls on its website has caused revulsion among consumer and government officials alike. And here in France, the government has moved to block access to the Shein website. There have been protests outside the BHV building in central Paris this Wednesday, where Shein is opening its first ever direct face-to-face sales counter, under, it has to be said, a large cloud of controversy. And since being caught selling what some are calling paedophilic dolls, Shein has removed the offensive items from its online marketplace. There are many questions that remain unanswered. Who buys them? Who makes them? Why were they ever up for sale in the first place? Let's get more Emerald Maxwell with this report on Shein, the once prestigious and now unavoidably tarnished BHV store, and more and more consumers saying they will boycott the whole thing.
Protesters with "Shame on Shein" placards gathered outside the BHV department store as the online fast fashion brand landed in Paris with its first ever physical outlet.
I'm outraged that a company that destroys human rights to this extent on its production chains, that destroys countries like Ghana, which gets discarded clothes, and we're welcoming them at the holy grail of Paris shopping. It's unacceptable.
Riot police were also standing by for the store's 1 p.m. opening after uproar over the sale of childlike sex dolls on Shein's website.
The police behind us are basically protecting a store that has entered into a partnership with people that are participating in child pornography, and it's them that they're protecting, and not children. It's a joke.
France has opened a judicial investigation and initiated proceedings to suspend the Shein website. But it wasn't long before an hours-long queue of bargain hunters had formed in front of BHV.
I'm so happy they've opened this shop. We're going to find lots of things. Sure, they're having a protest against their doll or whatever. I don't care. I'm for Shein.
People tell you to buy French, but sorry, right now we can't afford to buy French-made clothes. It costs too much. I spend around €100 per week on Shein's website.
Music to the ears of BHV, which has been going through financial struggles. Owners are hoping to tap into Shein's roughly 27 million monthly online French customers, even as some other brands have chosen to leave BHV in protest.
Every day we're told that physical stores are dying, that thousands of jobs are at stake, that the French textile industry is dying, and these same critics are not offering us solutions. Criticizing is all well and good, but moving forward is better.
The UN has warned that the textile industry is responsible for nearly 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions and consumes 1.5 trillion litres of water annually.
We're all amazed by the lady who said in that report she spends €100 a week. That's €400 a month on the Shein website. How many clothes do you need to wear? Anyway, let's get more on the situation regarding the controversy about Shein, the childlike sex doll, but also the fast fashion issue, which is really what Shein is all about. Nick Rees-Roberts joins us. Nick is Professor of Media and Culture at the Sorbonne Nouvelle. Nick, thanks for being with us. Can we start with this really horrific story about this childlike sex doll? I know you can't answer the questions as to who makes this kind of thing, who uses that kind of thing. That's something perhaps for the police to be looking into. But how does this kind of thing get to be sold? How does this become part of something which once upon a time was a great old tradition? BHV, this wonderful, wonderful shop, open since 1856, I think, something that is a feature of Parisian life. Now it's got to be tarnished by this scandal.
Well, yes, as you said, Shein has come under fire for two reasons, really. There are two allegations. One is legal and ethical. And as I understand today, the French government is prosecuting the platform, that is under threat of closure or suspension. The question is how opaque is their operating, their production process and their circuits of production, because it does point to a lack of control, it would seem. So there's that one question that's legal and ethical on the one hand, and the other question, I guess, is timing. As you mentioned, BHV, it's a commercial and political question, really, because it points to the issue of protectionism around the French fashion industry. This is the opening of the first bricks and mortar store for Shein in Paris. So Paris is strategic for symbolic reasons, for material reasons, for industrial reasons, the history of Paris fashion and couture in particular. But also France is the home of human rights. So the opening of a bricks and mortar store undermines the attempts to regulate the industry from both the city of Paris and and France. Regulation in terms of labor exploitation, environmental toxicity. Shein is accused of unfair competition, etc. So all of that, this question of timing is really central to this story.
Putting the paedophile doll to one side and getting into the issue of fast fashion, the lady we saw interviewed in our report spending €100 a month on the Shein website, that's €400 a month on those kind of, so it's €100 a week, €400 a month on Shein products on the website. This is something that is, again, taking business away from French retailers or French producers. The issue at the heart of it, though, is fast fashion, how it is produced, how it is made, who is exploited. You can talk about sweatshops, you can talk about what happens in the far west of China, in the Xinjiang province, and how Uyghur Muslims are allegedly exploited in the process of making these clothes. It's been denied by Shein, it's been denied by China that such places actually exist. We've done a documentary that shows that they do, but that's a different matter. That is at the heart of it all, isn't it? The whole fast fashion ethos.
Yeah, I mean, this is ultra fast fashion. So this is pushing the whole model of fast fashion to an extreme. Fast fashion emerged from the late 1990s onwards. It's part of the intensification of economic globalization and, in the 21st century, digital technology. Shein, in a sense, is the third generation of fast fashion that comes in the wake of the heavyweights, the big players, Inditex, Zara, H&M, that were then followed by a digital-first model of ASOS and Boohoo. I mean, these, in a sense, are business structures that are ecologically unsustainable. So, just in terms of business model, they're carbon heavy. So the number of flights that are crossing the globe, transporting all these goods that these consumers are talking about, they're data-driven, so it's an on-demand production model where software will track the sales, in a sense. It's TikTok-friendly, so it's very much in line with the culture of the influencers and celebrity image. And I think this really is the key to understanding why consumers like this type of model, because it is fun. There is something ludic, there's something playful in
not
in
just
this.
because it's cheap.
It's cheap. It's also fun. If you look at how the app and the website work, it's accessible, it's consumer driven, and so letting consumers into that model is key to how Shein has worked, both for fashionable garments, but also lifestyle, so when you look at what they sell, it really goes way beyond just,
I can recall as a young journalist reporting on closures of factories in northern England that made, products from textiles, shirts, etc., for sale in retail outlets across the UK. That production was moved to the Far East. Is the West being bitten back by the animal that it created?
Well, you could argue, couldn't you, that this is the return of the repressed in a sense. I mean, that whole question of unfair competition is at the heart of these attempts to regulate ultra-fast fashion. But this is a model of ultra-disposable products. It's the turnover of goods that are transported across the globe. These are, it's a model that is based on extreme obsolescence. So where the pleasure involved, it's a quick fix in a sense for a consumer. It's extreme obsolescence and plagiarism. So it's about imitating the models of high fashion in a very, very quick way. So this really points to a whole, as you said, a whole global consumer capitalism that is dysfunctional and distorting. And fashion is just one, is the visible side to this, the visible face of this dysfunction. It really is a global model that is failing, in a sense.
Final question. It's yes or no. Will you be taking a look at what Shein's doing at Berchevay?
Well, yeah, obviously I'm interested
You'll take
from
a look.
Purely objective perspective rather than
there you go. That's as you have to do.
Absolutely,
As you have to do in your role. We get it. Nick Rees-Roberts is Professor of Media and Culture at the Sorbonne Nouvelle. Thanks for joining us, for giving us that insight.
Thank you.
And as for those dolls, Shein's saying it's cooperating 100% with the inquiry, which of course it should. The question is, would they have been doing that had it not come to light after the investigations by the French authorities? That's probably at the heart of the matter, I suppose, which leaves many people feeling a little bit I don't know, sick about the whole issue. But Nick, thank you for your analysis. Greatly appreciated. Nick Rees-Roberts there from the Sorbonne Nouvelle.